Hey, I'm live, I think. Yes. I don't remember actually pressing the button. Then I looked up and there I was. Welcome, my friends. Here we are. It is Chat with Matt. It is the 21st of September. We're sort of halfway between the new moon, the full moon from yesterday, about 2 hours ago, and the equinox, which is tomorrow morning, I believe, about probably 18 hours away or something like that, 20 hours away. So, morning my time, if I got that right, which I'm not sure about. But anyway, here we are, September 2. Right. Hey, Sister Kelly. I just dropped out there for a moment. Hopefully everything's good. Yeah. Chat with Matt, half an hour to talk about whatever's going on for you guys. I do have a few questions or requests popped in ahead of time, and a appreciation post as well in there, comment. Here I'm back on Rarotonga after a week away in Aitataki. It was quite a nice morning this morning. I got up and went kayaking, and there was no wind. Well, there's no wind now, but yeah, just half an hour ago, a huge sort of maybe an hour ago, between an hour and half an hour ago, this huge sort of windstorm just came through with rain and full moon weather, right? Pretty intense. Thank you, Kelly. That's lovely. I'm sending much love to you as well. So yeah, changeable weather, changeable environment, energetically, emotionally turbulent. Full moon in Pisces, so Pisces is a water thing, and and deeper energies as well with intuition and psychic ability and all the rest of it. So a lot of that is feeling very, very intense right now, intensified, climactic, which is great and uncomfortable. Great and uncomfortable. So that's what we're currently proceeding through. A lot of uncertainty in my life as well, with various things unfolding. Travel, we've got to get back to New Zealand at some stage shortly, and then how best to cope with that. Yeah. Anywho's, no big problems, all just first world problems, but nonetheless, things to think about, choices to make, and just dealing with the uncertainty of how things are unfolding. I think it's always big for humans, dealing with uncertainty, because at the moment things are looking shaky, right? Various potentials out there, all sorts of, this is sort of alluding to the first question, I think, hopes and desires around avoiding certain potentials or certain things, and not sure how it's going to unfold. So all we can really do is hold our intent on the outcome that we are going to achieve for ourselves, even though we don't know how. And it seems that potentially the world is against us, or various other individuals in our life are against us or not supporting us, and yada yada yada. It's complicated right now in many ways, and yet the solution's relatively simple. Relax and trust, right? Relax and trust. Keep doing your breathing. Act from a foundation of inspiration and awareness and guidance as best that you can, because you can't control things, and you certainly can't control how external things are unfolding, although we do have influence over it. Anywho, Sister Hyla wrote, when hope becomes a negative connotation, where do you go to find motivation to pick yourself up? So let's talk a little bit about this first bit. When hope becomes a negative connotation. So hope is great to have, as opposed to having no hope. Right? Hope is this idea that you have a desire for something better, and you hope that it's going to happen. In other words, you're not sure how it's going to happen, and you're not sure if it's going to happen, and you certainly don't feel that you have much influence over it happening, but you hope that it happens. So when that becomes negative is the fact that you are basically letting go of your ability to create your own life, which in some ways is realistic, right? Depending on how we So you could say, well, I hope that someone chooses better for themselves. That's fair enough, because it doesn't matter how much we intend for them to choose, we don't really have that much influence over them choosing. We have some influence, of course, but we only have a limited amount, and we can't make them. So that we just hope, we have high hopes that they get through their experience in the best way possible, or something like that, which is very valid and not wrong at all. But a lot of people get into this situation where they just hope that their situation gets better, and yet they're not willing to take the actions, or not willing to do the quote-unquote work, not willing to invest their time in maintaining the intention and taking the actions that's going to help that outcome unfold. Even though it's never in the bag. It doesn't matter how hard we quote-unquote try, which is another interesting word that goes along with hope, but it doesn't matter how much effort we put into our intent and how much effort we put into our actions. We can never guarantee that something's going to play out the way that we want it to, desire it to, or intend it to. So, it's these are fine lines that we have to hold. The difference between holding strong intent and investing our effort into achieving that, and quote-unquote hoping that it works, is not clear cut. The more that we can be confident, though, in what we are choosing, and the less that we have this disempowered sense of hope, the better off we're going to be. This disempowered sense of hope. This idea that, if we're lucky, then it might happen, or if God is benevolent or gracious, then it will happen. Of course, there's nothing wrong with working with the concept of a gracious God, or lucky coincidence. But those who help themselves are helped, right? And just hoping isn't going to cut it. Just hoping isn't going to cut it. So where do you find motivation to pick yourself up, to just get out of this almost disempowered sense of hope? Oh, the world looks hopeless. I hope I'm wrong, or this situation looks dire. I hope, something happens, something miraculous. I'm hoping in a miracle. How do we get beyond that and into a deeper sense of trust, or a deeper sense of faith? That, faith and trust are well beyond hope. That things are going to play out in a way that's beneficial for us. It might not happen the way that we quote-unquote want it to or envisage it will, but that it will play out in a way that is beneficial for us. How do we find that motivation in the trust and in the faith? For me, it's about maintaining practices that really support that intention. How do I keep building my trust? How do I keep maintaining my faith? It's through a process of relaxing more into a deeper connection with self, quote unquote, with a capital S, so that I move beyond identifying with a small self that hopes that life is going to get better, that hopes that things are going to improve in the external world, and one that has trust and faith that everything is playing out. And even though it may look dire from a smaller personal point of view, that I really don't understand what needs to fall into place in order for the bigger outcome, the more expansive outcome, the truly beneficial outcome to arise. I simply don't know, so there's no point in me drawing conclusions that it looks hopeless. It's fair enough for my personality to come to the admission that I don't know how this is going to happen. It looks hopeless, right? That's a fair enough. That's a good foundation, I believe, to come to that admission, or that level of acceptance. I don't know how this is going to work, and to be honest, from my logical mind, it looks hopeless right now. How do I move beyond just hoping I'm wrong and hoping things improve to having a great deal of faith and trust that things will unfold in beneficial ways, even though I'm not sure how that's going to happen? It takes consistency in practice, and whatever your practices might be, whether those are meditation practices, journaling practices, deep breathing practices, exercise practices, physical exercise, whatever it takes to release stress, I find is beneficial in helping me avoid going down the gurgler, if you like, into hopeless or into disempowered hope, right? We only really have disempowered hope when we believe that the world is hopeless around us, and therefore we employ this, well, I hope it works out somehow, even though I don't think it will, or even though I don't know how it will, or as I said, it is a fine line. It is a fine line, because it's it's not wrong to come to the admission that I don't know how it's going to work. So that's how I find motivation to keep moving, and sometimes it's hard. This is the point, that sometimes I don't feel motivated. Sometimes I do wallow in hopeless or in disempowered hope, and that faith and that trust is hard to find. And again, that's it's not a great failing. This is the point. I think we don't need to be perfect, and we don't need to be exuding faith and trust all of the time. I think it's very normal for us to lose our faith sometimes, and I don't think we get punished for doing so, as long as we don't stay there, quote unquote, too long, whatever too long is, right? Because it's not good for our health, and it's not good for manifesting the outcomes that we truly desire if we lose ourselves for too long in the hopeless or in the very disempowered feelings that all is lost, and only a miracle can save us now. I don't think it needs a miracle. The miracle implies, that was a good yawn actually, released a lot of density just then. A miracle implies that something's going to happen beyond what could be expected. So as we raise our expectations in what could happen, right, then miracles are far less required. Favourable outcomes can happen more easily without a miracle, depending on what we determine is possible, right? Because miracles happen beyond possibility. That's kind of the definition of a miracle, something that happens beyond logic, beyond possible, what was believed impossible happening. That's a miracle. And so, I'm far less likely to look for a miracle as opposed to holding strong intent that expansive potentials are very possible, and to maintain an empowered or an authentically positive attitude towards how the world is unfolding now, even though it's easy to get into the small, narrow mindset that, well, it looks pretty friggin' dire out there, and all of this negative potential is there, and we can see how it could escalate from here in ways that we don't desire it to, and therefore thinking that we need a miracle now. I personally like to choose to be more empowered than wanting miracles, and to rather choose to relax into expecting awesome outcomes that are not necessarily miraculous to me. They might be miraculous to other people, and I'm happy for other people to proclaim what I desired as a miracle, but I'm choosing not to pray for a miracle, because I'd much rather hold intention for a positive outcome. Same outcome, right? Same outcome. I want something. I'm looking for an outcome rather than praying for a miracle. I'm choosing to hold space, or hold a strong space of opening for an expansive outcome or an expansive potential to materialize. Rather than seeing it as a miracle, I see it as my choice to create beyond what others believe is possible or easily possible. Hopefully that helps, Hyla. Now, I'm very happy to continue that conversation around hope and motivation as we progress, either on this call or another one. Joanne wrote, "Hiya Matt, hope you are well." Yes, I am well, thank you very much. We had a great time in Achu over on this other island where it was sunny and warm, even though the only problem with Achu is it's not easy to find somewhere to swim. I had a couple of swims in the harbour. I'm glad you're laughing, Julie Ray. Julie Ray said, helpful and somehow hilarious. Thank you. Laughter is one of the best ways to break up energy. So I always encourage people to find whatever I'm doing is hilarious, or at least humorous, or at least farcical. And laugh. Allow yourself to laugh. At least smirk or chuckle, but best is if you can really laugh. And if you can't laugh, then you may as well cry, because both will help you release energy. And sometimes the best thing is to laugh until you start crying, or cry till you start laughing. Either or, you're bound to scoop it all up there. So yeah, in Aichu, it's just hard to find somewhere to swim. They've got this amazing coast, but the reef or the lagoon is very shallow, and the ocean was reasonably rough. So the best swimming I got was basically in the harbour, which is tiny, by the way, but it's a little sort of, concrete enclosure that then leads out into the ocean. But the ocean was amazing, and the harbour gave safe passage to get out into the ocean, which was really, really blue and deep, and lots of fish and corals and stuff. But as opposed to, like here in Rarotonga, the first thing we did when we got back yesterday was go down to the South Lagoon and swim, where it's very easy and shallow, and lots of fish, and quote unquote relatively safe. You don't, you're not likely to come into contact with a shark or anything. Anywho, or get swept out anywhere dangerous. Anyway, so yes, it was nice. It was nice to be in the jungle and the swimming, and not the swimming, but the sun. The sun was really hot and warm. Here it's been, as soon as we got back, it went overcast. Anywho, Joanne wrote, "Hi Matt, hope you're well." I've just talked about that. "My survival buttons are being pressed at the moment. Do you have any tips for moving through those dense energies?" Okay, first tip is to be appreciative that we've just gone through the full moon. And so your survival buttons being pressed is an opportunity for you to release what you feel is dangerous. So this intensity of the full moon is basically bringing up the emotions that feel dangerous, that feel uncertain, that feel scared, right? Our fears are coming up, and therefore the mentality looks out there into the world and goes, freak, my survival's in jeopardy here, based on what we are feeling. And then from that foundation of what we're feeling, the fear that we're feeling, we perceive the world as more dangerous than perhaps it is. And of course we don't need to look too far to see negative potentials in the world from one source or another, and therefore we reinforce this feeling that we have, which is ultimately just coming up to release, right? The full moon doing its beautiful job of stirring the pot and triggering what has been bouncing around in our psyche and in our emotional field for a long time, coming up to be cleared. Em just wrote, "Hello, I'm being bullied right now. My body is shaking. Could I have some support to not engage with it and also feel safe?" Of course. Allowing yourself to trust that the experience of being bullied is an opportunity. And while it's easy to get your defenses up and feel attacked, allow yourself to feel the opportunity in expanding out of an external situation that is not your truth. Allowing it to be all about the full moon and the other person's coping mechanisms, the other person's insecurities. Allowing yourself to choose to disengage. What they are saying does not need to have influence over you. And of course, it will trigger deep old wounds in yourself. Be an allowance of what is being triggered without allowing what is being triggered to be true for you in this moment. Allow yourself to see their projections triggering your pain. Don't make them wrong. Don't make the bully wrong. Don't make the pain wrong. Don't make yourself wrong. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to hold an empowered, authentically positive attitude towards this experience. Allow yourself to find a foundation back through your feet into the earth. Allow yourself to feel the light flowing in from the cosmos through your crown, through your heart, through your solar plexus. Allow yourself to feel strong in this moment, to stand up for yourself, which doesn't necessarily mean having to argue with someone who is just acting out from their pain. Support yourself. Support the energy that you be. Allow yourself to radiate the light out around you and feel that that is buffering you against the perceived attack that the other is engaged in. Trust that your team is standing with you. Allow yourself to be supported externally and internally by the energies that love you. And allow your love to flow out and to hold strong. Allow yourself to relax out of the stress response. Choose to breathe a little deeper into your belly. Trust that your body is not betraying you. It's shaking because adrenaline is running through your veins. Trust that that's a natural response due to feeling unsafe. Choose to bring a higher awareness that you are safe right now as the being that you be, as you choose to let go of overly influenced by a stress response, choosing to bring peace back into your body, confidence back into your body, as you allow yourself to be supportive and choose to embrace the truth of who you be beyond this little personality experience, this exchange with another wounded person. My body just triggered head to toe cramps. Trust that what's been triggered has been triggered to release. And allow those tears to carry away that tension, that sense of wrongness. You know, when we get bullied, as a sensitive soul, we tend to take it very much to heart. We don't see it as the other person's pain, we see it as our own insignificance or our own wrongness. You know, why can't we stand up for ourselves? Why have we attracted this situation? Why is this ongoing? You know, we've been bullied before, we've been bullied, etc., etc. Self-acceptance. Let it all go. Trust that these old residues are clearing. Choose not to put too much emphasis on whatever triggered it, but just allow yourself to progress through the experience. Okay, Perfect. Sorry, we had a little dropout in the middle of that as well. So, do you have any tips for moving through these dense energies? Hang on, my survival buttons are being pressed at the moment. Do you have any tips for moving through these dense energies? Yeah, relax. Basically, relax into acceptance. So, just as well, Em just gave us a perfect opportunity to practice what I would practice, right? When our survival stuff is being triggered, then we have to do our self-care, right? We have to take time for ourselves. We don't have to. It serves us to take time for ourselves. It serves us to go move into deep breathing. It serves us to do some meditation. It serves us to get some exercise. It serves us to drink some water. It serves us to get some sunshine, some fresh air, go for a swim, have a shower. Have a shower is really good, have a shower is really good as first aid, and then if you can, have a bath. Shower's a good way of just washing away whatever has arisen, especially if it's intense. And to get support, exactly, to phone a friend, whoever's available to you, or to send me an email or a messenger or whatever. Whatever is required, whatever is available to you, be willing to call on it. Of course, none of us want to become dependent and to lose our sovereignty. Hello, Mr. Heron, or Mrs. Heron, just showed up. But when we find ourselves, triggered, then reach out to someone who's going to support you in an empowered way. Just be a little bit aware that sometimes we reach out to people who just reinforce what's going on. And so we don't really need sympathy when we're triggered. Not a disempowered sympathy that makes it right that we're stuck in our trigger. Of course, we don't need someone to just tell us to man up or pull our big girl panties up and get on with it, right? We do require a degree of empathy, and that can come across with compassion, but sometimes it's very easy to reach out to someone who is just going to help us emotionally feel heard. And while that can be a good step, if it reinforces the rightness of being in pain, then that's not always so good, right? We don't want to be made wrong, but we don't want the situation to be made right, or our response to the situation to be made right either, right? We don't, in Em's case, she doesn't need someone right now to tell her how bad the bully is and how wrong they are for doing that and how because it just reinforces the victim mentality that something bad has happened and someone has just perpetrated abuse upon you. And while I'm not here to say, well, they're not abusive, it's not that they're not abusive, it's just that engaging in blaming the trigger is not helpful. It doesn't mean that we don't deny that their behaviour is inappropriate, right, and even painful, but it's just finding that balance there. So definitely when you reach out to someone, be aware who you're reaching out to and what level of support they are capable of bringing you. But definitely reach out if you have the ability and the opportunity to reach out to someone or something. It could be a recording, right, when you reach out. Sometimes they're good because they don't get caught in the story. Or sometimes you can reach out for support without going into the story, which is also a valid thing to do. You can reach out and say, hey, I'm really feeling upset right now. I just need some support. And if they want to dig into it, just say, it's going into the story is not going to help right now because I don't really want to reinforce the story that's up. But I just need someone to see me in my pain and support me and breathe with me, potentially as I elevate out of it, right? So we can pre-contextualize how we turn up looking for support, so we don't show up as a victim needing someone to make us right or make everything all right, but rather turn up as someone who is suffering and needing some help to elevate out of the concept that they're suffering through the pain, right? Yeah, most of us are feeling pain in one way or another at the moment on this planet. Those of us who are sensitive are generally feeling pain right now. There's no real escape from that. It's a painful place to be. We're right in the midst. I'm not saying it's a bad place, I'm just saying it's a painful place. We're right in the midst of purifying some very dark shit on this planet right now. And so it is quite painful for those of us who are sensitive. And we don't need to get overly engaged in that. We don't need to suffer through it. So understanding the difference between pain and suffering is a big, and not just understanding it, but practicing discerning when and how we can avoid suffering as while we're going through the pain is a big step in our evolutionary process as empowered beings of light on this planet. So yeah, I'm just coming back to Joanne's question. I'm not sure if I answered it at all. Any tips moving through these dense energies? Yeah, I think we're giving tips on that. So yeah, reach out for help. Engage in okay, stop playing with my computer because it seems to be influencing my phone. Engage with communities or find communities that are fundamentally supportive to you in an empowered way, and that's beneficial. And communities can be one other person, right? And I know it's hard if you don't feel that you have that and you haven't managed to attract that yet. But just be your best light out there in the world and trust that you will attract people who are more supportive to you in general as time progresses. It is hard. We're all progressing in an evolutionary path at this time, and it's quite intense. There are a lot of negative, potentials, quote unquote negative potentials, things quote unquote not going the way we would like. It's not easy. It's not easy to progress through that, but nonetheless we are. I will just say hello and thank you to Sister Tracy who just wrote in and said, I just want to say thank you. You and Mantara have helped me get through some stressful times travelling, so we can't join today. Oh, sorry, that was a new sentence. Travelling, so we can't join today. We made it from Canada to the US with our truck, trailer and motorcycles, and I know we have had help floating through with ease, heading to Mount Shasta and staying aware of feeling free and blessed. Awesome, Tracy. Well done. We are definitely holding supportive space that you can continue on your journey into the south, beyond the US and into greener pastures potentially. So yes, definitely holding space for you to continue with that journey. And all of us who are making this journey, whether physically changing our location or energetically journeying from a space that feels confined and contracted and controlled into an internal space that feels more free. There's a simile there. I'm trying to think of what the word, analogy there. Some of us are choosing to move across the world to spaces that feel more supportive to us as free souls, sovereign beings on the planet, and others are choosing to stay where we are for now, and expand into choosing to be free and expansive, despite the fact that there's a lot of attempts at controlling us from the external world right now. Hey Tani, I think I got that right. Is it an N or an R? No, it is an N. Sorry, my phone screen's so dirty. So yes, progressing. Other thing that I wanted to mention is I did deliver a full moon light language thing yesterday. If you've missed that, there is the link in this Bright Light Beings group feed, and I will post it again here on this, in the comments at the top of this after I finished, whatever, the introduction. to this chat with Matt. I've probably done my time though. Half an hour has flown by as always. So much love to all of you who have added something to this call. Thanks, Em, for choosing to show up in vulnerability and allow us to support you live, which I'm sure will help many others. And thank you to Joanne and Hyla for inspiring some questions. And thank you all who have chosen to come on. Awesome, Em. I'm glad that you can breathe again. Well done. Yeah, very happy to support you all. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, always feel free to reach out to me, either here in this group. Marie's just put a request in for me to come to the phone when she's still on hold. And I'll be there in a sec for Marie, because we're trying to organise getting back to New Zealand at this stage. Don't panic, Mum, who's probably going to watch this at some stage. As we're just working out how we get down the country now, as opposed to having to stay the night in Auckland, which is still in lockdown. Anywho's, much love to you all, my friends. I am here for you all. So yeah, reach out if you need some help in any way. We're here to support you. Bye for now.